How is the collective consciousness tonight? Yeah, the collective consciousness is alive and well. And I feel so fortunate. When David first told me about the collective illuminate the collective consciousness, I was like, I'm in. Let's do this. This is what we have to do. We have to be that aware, bright star that brings everybody along so that we know what the real deal is. So without any further ado, here's my dear, dear friend, our astrologer and guidance, David Palmer.
Thank you, David Hauser. Hello, welcome. We have a joke, anyway. Thank you all for being here. I was actually coming out of the bathroom thinking I had some more time, but hey, I'm here, and you guys are all here, so this is going to be a great time tonight. Number one is I know it's a bitch, especially in the city of New York, to come anywhere. Got to always go through a bunch of crazy mazes and crazy people and the vibrations of this person and that person. And my wife, it's her first time here in New York, and so whenever she hears a horn, she goes, "Oh, it's a headache." I go, and we were in Jersey. I'm like, "You haven't even been to New York yet." But I want to say thank you, because I know it's a big deal to go anywhere, especially in 2018. Nobody wants to go anywhere anymore. It's like, God, I got to get out of it and like put clothes on and like leave the television and shit and leave my computer. That happens a lot. So I want to say thank you so much, because it means a lot. The reason why we're here today is to talk about some astrology and hopefully give you some guidance in what's coming up in the future. I'm calling this the future, or I'm calling it the Fate Train Future Tour, because what we are in right now is a train towards massive amounts of fate. And what is fate? Predetermination. I know a lot of people in the spiritual world like to say, free will. I'm not saying there's no free will, but when you gotta pee, there's no free will of saying, I don't want to pee. It's little things I can go for hours about saying like how everything's predetermined, but the main point of it is our predetermined events happen for us to arrive at a moment where we have a free will choice, and I'm a big believer in the crossroads. And there's some major crossroads that are coming up in all of our lives that are pretty significant. They're not simple, but they also are access points to the greatest road that we've ever seen individually and collectively all over the world. But the scary part is, how are we going to all do that together? Because we're in a world that is more divisive than we've ever felt in our lives. Just to have some fun little astrology facts, last time Neptune was a Pisces was in 1848, and it got out in 1860. And during that time, everybody got all obsessed with, we're going west to get gold. We're getting the fuck out of here. And then they got there and there was fucking like, I don't know if you guys all know, I'm from California. I was born and raised there. In 4th grade, they tell you, okay, pan for gold. And you pan for gold like in a little thing. And I'm like, God, I did all that work and I got like a little shaving. And then I asked how much it's worth. It's like, it's not even worth a penny. I'm like, oh my God. And that's what kind of happened, but it's weird how the universe pulls us all towards something to get us somewhere. If we didn't pull west, we wouldn't have completed America. And in many ways, you guys wouldn't be eating lettuce every day. So there's some good things about Neptune and Pisces. Some of the negatives that come out of it are things like the Civil War. The whole buildup of the Civil War was Neptune and Pisces. No, this is the way it should be. No, this is the way it should be. No, you're unconscious. No, I'm conscious. It was also the time of circuses. And what were in circuses? Astrologers. Hi, guys. I'm at the circus. You guys want to go to the danger zone? Now you guys know my official ringtone. I went to the danger zone. And that's what's scary about what's coming up, everyone, is that in a world that spirituality and this higher vibration is getting so much higher and so much more connected to everybody, right? Is a time in which also at the same time, Neptune and Pisces does this massive split of consciousness, and we all start battling over who's more conscious than the other. You didn't eat vegan today? You're a horrible person for eating those animals. You know, it's like, and I'm not putting down vegans because I know a lot of them. But then there's that other side of it too, right? It's like, oh my God, that's all you eat? Like, you know, the world is supposed to be this way. The Bible says that you can eat food. It's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be in the middle of that fight. You know what I mean? And that's what's scary about Neptune in Pisces and this divisiveness is you think it's the sign of compassion. It's usually the sign of showing us where we've lost our compassion, because every sign or every planet when it enters a sign is a construction zone. That means when the planet arrives in the sign, it's like, all right, everybody, get used to me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to fix this issue of compassion. And it's Neptune in its home sign. So guess what? Compassion sucks right now. And what else does Neptune rule but the media? Because what is the media? It's an invisible transmission that receives and turns into a visualization of somebody on your television screen when they're not in your room. They didn't just smell your dinner that you were eating. They don't know that you're naked watching them. Neptune's invisible. It's magic too, right? The Great Oz, right? Oh my God, I'm such a great Oz. And it's this little hermit crab like dude in the back like, hello. So we get kind of blurred in Pisces. And the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up to start this is because if we look at the world today, it really is this media frenzy that's building up. The media frenzy back in the 1800s was through pamphlets of spreading the information, right? Now we're at this time where it's through the internet, but it's video. It's all these like videos that always come up, and it's like, you know, whether it's political or not, with the letters on top of like, you know, I don't know, Trump does blah, blah. And it'll not even have him there, and it'll have some video of him, and it's like, I fucking hate that guy. Or it'll be like, you know, Hillary did fucking, I hate that bitch. It's like, did you even like know what they said? And was it all perfectly put visually, magic-wise, pushed into your consciousness to make you feel that way? Uh-oh. When I do these horoscopes, I'm actually subliminally throwing my messages at you. But good thing that they're to raise your vibration, right? You guys fell under the spell. You're all here. That's the whole funny thing about Neptune and Pisces is spells are being spelled everywhere. And the main thing is the media. Now, everybody would think that I sound like a Trump supporter or something, but I really could give a fuck about him or the other people or anything, because I know that there's a third thing in the middle of all this, which is a higher, compassionate, non-divisive connection. And that's something that's coming up, because if we're going to build all these things that are coming up in the world right now, if we can't find that middle line and see that both sides, not only politically, but also see through the bullshit of spells, because I want to speak in a more magical term. Magic is real, whether that's for good or for bad. There's great things out there now that are showing us spirituality in beautiful ways, and we're all learning from it, where it's great. But the more you go down on that section of life, right, there's going to be the opposite of the dark fucking crazy shit at the same time, and it's you as yourself as a soul that has to kind of in between do it. You know, it was interesting during the Revolutionary War. Did you only know that 19% of the people participated and 81% said, I'm going to sit here on my fucking hickory farm and fucking wait for you guys to fix it? Not many people join in spiritual revolutions. They like to sit back and watch. And that's what scares me the most. 85% of the people who watch me are women, and 15% of the people who watch me are men. Those numbers always kind of like correlate in everything that I see in life. It kind of blows my mind that there's only a little percent of people who get it. Whether we even say that's in the spiritual revolution or spiritual consciousness, right? If you go around and you were to walk on the street and ask people about astrology or spirituality, or do you do, you know, Reiki, or what's up? What'd your tarot card say today? And be like, what the fuck, man? I'm wearing a Jordan shirt. Fucking, did you see the fucking game last night with Golden State and fucking Cavs? So it becomes this really weird place for people to awaken spirituality because they're like in a fucking video game. Like, where are the other ones? You know what I mean? Like, it's like Walking Dead a little bit. Like, do I kill him or are you a friend? Are you real? Are you alive yet? Or are you dead? And that's the scary part, is we're coming into a zone which is going to be so intense with the stuff I'm going to talk about today that I wanted to point this one out because that's going on for a while still. We're only halfway through the transit, and it was from 1854 to 1860, which was the most massive, crazy part of the divisiveness, which was when Neptune reached halfway through Pisces. And guess what year it finally reached halfway through Pisces? 2018! So, you guys are all here because if you read on your ticket thing, on the tour I'm talking about specific parts of the tour. So in Denver I talked about relationships. I know a lot of people here probably want to be there for that one. That was a really good one. Chicago, because I was there for the United Astrology Conference, was about the future of astrology. And no, not about what charts are they going to use in the future, but, oh, there's some crazy alien shit going on, and maybe you want to understand how to use that astrology to understand what's going on. This one's about finance and business, which I actually think is a very important one, but of course I'm going to connect it to everything else. So I don't want you to think that because you're here and you're only here for finance and business and you could give a fuck about the stock portfolios or what we're using for money or anything like that, that it is not going to be important, because all of it's going to connect back to you in some sort of way, if that makes sense, spiritually and physically. So where to begin? I think the best place that we could start at is when we take a look at this weird divisiveness in the world and this spiritual awakening in the middle of a bunch of unconsciousness at the same time. It's very hard to discern, what's right and what's wrong. We live in this really weird time where, especially in the spiritual world, it's like people kind of are straight to judge you if, you're ungrounded, you don't do yoga, and when that happens, we automatically are spreading ourselves apart from the spiritual community. So this dogma that's going around in the spiritual community of like, look at all those bracelets, you don't carry crystals in your pocket, is like, that doesn't mean you're not spiritual. You drive a what? You're not in a fucking Prius. I live in California. We're like eco fucking everything is green leaf. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't go around anywhere and be judged. On the way here, I was fishing and I got screamed at by these people that, you fucking fish? Oh my God, you're hurting the fish and killing them. I was like, you're not spiritual. I'm like, fuck, man. Can't do anything right. Or, I'm a jet ski racer. Oh my God, you're ruining the water. You're jet skiing. You're not spiritual. Spiritual is living your fucking life. I'm going to be real. And however that you do it, and the spiritual community not judging you for it. Now, if you're fucking killing people or you're dosing up children with something to fucking do something weird to them, then you know what? Yeah, okay. Stage right, you're gone. But when it comes to a different part, when it comes to this spiritual revolution that's going on and where the future is coming, we're not going to be able to get along if the spiritual community, which is trying to become the next church. Okay, you do yoga at 8 in the morning, and then you get a good smoothie with some bananas on it, and then you go meet your friends and talk about crystals. And it's like, okay, that might be your way, but for me, spirituality comes in really different ways. Sometimes I need to unplug and go play baseball on my fucking PS4 against a bunch of random nerds that play all day, and I fucking yell at them on the screen going, fuck you, you play all day, work, oh, fuck, But that's my moment of my spiritual release or whatever. We all have it, and whatever it is important for us to all focus on realizing we all have our own way to that higher power. With finance and business, this is going to be a major part because it really isn't about financial aspects or business per se. It's going to be the revolution of really realizing that when we're in the spiritual world, money is a big deal. Spiritual money is a big deal. Money, unfortunately, is part of this whole spiritual process. And I would say that one of the number one dogmas around spirituality is money, right? It's like, oh my God, like, people get weird about it. People get really weird about money. And how funny that Uranus just entered Taurus May 16th, 2018. Literally, we haven't even been through a month of this stuff. And the last time that Uranus entered Taurus, of course, was in the early 1930s, which was right after the Great Depression. And guess what? The new commodities in the world was like, hey, man, you got some smokes? Hey, I need more tanks. You got some tanks? The spiritual revolution is going to be a whole new commodity. And when you combine that with all this Capricorn stuff, we got Pluto, we got Saturn, we got Jupiter. They're all coming into Capricorn together in 2019 into 20. Last time that kind of time happened was in 1282. And in 1282, guess what happened right after 1282 was the Dark Ages. Not saying we're going into Dark Ages. Good news was Uranus was in opposition to all that. This time Uranus is in trine to it, like it was during the Renaissance. And so why do I bring these points up? Well, number one, to me, business is like a half-assed way of us saying that we're feeling achieved in life. But really, if we can align business now in a way that actually aligns with our full soul purpose and what our greatest skills are, then we're great. When I was talking to the VIPs earlier, I said, like, whenever we cross over a line of our self-worth in life, we get timid. Like we really believe we talk up our own shit. Like, I could do that, Like, I used to be the kid who'd be like, oh, I could totally do that shit, And then you get right up to the line and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that one. It's when you cross the line and go, okay, I'm going to try my skills that I've never tried before. We're all Home Depots, full of fucking amazing fucking tools. But we all believe that we can't use them all. Like, oh, no, I don't have a fucking saw. I don't know how to use that. I'll probably cut my hand off with it. It's all these notions of like not believing in our own greatness and our own skills that are coming up fucking smacking in our face for the next 8 years. So every time that you go, oh, yeah, I want to align with my greatest self, but I don't have enough money. Well, you're out of the game. I hate to be real, but I love the word hate to be real, or the expression. People say hate's a horrible word, but I use it in a really fun way. Is that, Taurus is a sign that says, I'm wearing Gucci, bitch. I'm driving a fucking G-Wagon, and I'm fucking rolling hard, yo. So, like, get off my shit. Like, let me do me. And don't judge me for that, because I know I'm fucking good at it. And just fucking chill. Stop giving me shit. Like, I actually feel bad for the 1%. Oh my God, fuck them. They're having a great life and we're having these shitty lives. Guess what? That's all been pre-programmed by the Neptunian aspect of you to think that you're not good enough because you're part of a 99 percentile that sucks royal fucking dick. And the second you believe that, you're on that team. And it's with all the fucking people that don't know how to play baseball or anything. Like, oh, man, what do you want me to do? And you're looking around like, how did I get thrown in this bitch? That's what's going down. You have to start to look at the world through your own higher lens, and especially with your self-worth and money. Because Taurus rules fixed earth. It rules where we create. Because what's before that? It's Aries. It's the ego going like, I want girl. I want food. I want to fuck. It's like very like simple. Like it's like, it's like caveman. Aries is like, ooga, ooga. Ooh, look at that. That is a nice thing right there. Ooga, ooga. Ooh, war, give me stick. I beat them on the head. Or, warrior princesses, like, I'm going to show, I'm Wonder Woman. Let me show it, and I'm going to be very, bam! There's a lot of people out there who are very bam, but Taurus comes around and goes, what are you going to do with that bam? My favorite is Instagram models. It's like, oh my God, I got 4.2 million Instagram followers. Yeah! Okay, what are you going to do with that? Oh, you got some really cool company to let you put your picture with it, and they paid you $1,000. Good job, girl. You're going far. I'm not judging her or anything. Some of them look really good too, so, But, just saying, right? Yeah. But with this whole new notion of what's coming up here with Uranus and all this Capricorn stuff, it's like it's combining a destiny that's going to help change the world. The last time that we had Pluto in Capricorn was the beginning of the Revolutionary War. People felt like they had a purpose to change the systems in which we live in. Now, changing the social media plane by sticking your ass out, that changes the system. But does it change the system enough that's valuable to the individuals that are involved in what we call the whole collective consciousness? Uranus is a planet that deals with collectivity, right? And it's in a sign of sustainability, which is Taurus. So now we have to create things in the world that are sustainable for a higher and better good in the world. It just no longer can be sticking your fucking ass out. Uranus in Aries is like, yeah, I did it. Look at, oh my God, I'm on the beach. Wow, that's great. What's next? That's what Taurus asks, right? Can we make something of that? And I'm going to get real vulgar here because you guys are probably watching because I don't give a fuck. But it's like, okay, Taurus goes, oh, so you're going to be a stripper with that? Or do you want to fuck people for money and be an escort? Come on, let's make some money with it. Holding a coconut oil is not going to give you enough. They don't have enough money to pay you. They're not going to pay you fucking $4 million. They only made $4 million this year. That's the truth, though. Whatever you identify and become with has to now come into Taurus now with Uranus and go, okay, let's connect to a higher source. Let's make some shit happen. Because Uranus is all about connectivity and finding the dots and making it happen. But it's very difficult when Capricorn's involved because it's like, well, this shit better fucking go really high and far. And there is no limit to Capricorn because it reaches the tallest mountain. Have you ever seen those motherfucking goats all fucking they find a way to get to the top. And we're in a world right now where, unfortunately, this triggers people all the time that the universe is asking for you to reach fucking high. None of this bullshit no, I can't do it. Because if we want the world to change, it's not going to be through some fucking organization. It's not going to be through some other people who are going to fix the world for you. We kind of got away with that in the 1700s with George Washington and his fucking gang of cool guys. Now there is not going to be just some dude and a bunch of dudes who are going to say, we got it all. Everybody sit at home and don't worry, we got this one. No. Uranus and Taurus forces an individual to find their greatest self so they can actually contribute something to the world. So there was this great astrologer at the United Astrology Conference. His name is Rod Susskind. I did an interview with him recently, and he comes from South Africa, and he's an African shaman. He's a total white dude in Africa as a shaman. It's awesome. And in African shamanism, they always find a purpose for everyone. So, of course, if somebody, let's say, has Down syndrome or something, right? The way he said it was so funny, too. He goes, or maybe they have a weird twitch. Well, we put a broom in their hand, and now they broom. It's like we as society have kind of pushed everything in this way of this identification of the way that you have to reach the top, right? And of course, we're in the city here where there's a man who thought he, reached the top by building his biggest buildings. Like, well, that's the way that you have reached the top, is by how big your building is. We were laughing as astrologers and looking at Trump's building in Chicago, and it has a very thin needle at the top. And we thought maybe it's a big building, but does it really have a big shaft? And I said, no, of course it does. It's called Big Mac. And I think that there's this weird thing now where it's like what we call reaching the top, what we call as the best is all going to shift. It's not this notion of like, well, I have this much money in my bank account and I own all these properties, so guess what? What's that doing for everyone else? This is a huge revolution coming because let's start basic with Capricorn. I love Capricorns. You know why? Because when they set their rules and they set their plans and they set the way that life's going to be, they don't give a flying fuck about anything outside the plan so they can get there. It's a lot like Lewis and Clark, right? Like, we're going motherfucking west to explore. I'm sure that there might have been some really hot, like, who knows, people around these areas, and maybe they stopped for a night and had fun in a tent, but then they were like, we got to keep going. Alexander the Great did not get this one. You guys know the story of Alexander the Great? I'm going to expand the empire farther east than it's ever been before and become the greatest. So he keeps going east, he keeps going east, he keeps going east, he keeps bringing all the troops. And he gets so far from home, and he finds this hot chick, and he's so far away, and he ends up dying and never going home again, and he gets lost in fucking sex and all this shit over there, and never really accomplished anything except the goal was, I'm just going to reach fucking east. It was like, for a kingdom that you don't even fucking live in or experience. Poor dude never made it home. And died. So maybe he was great for what he did as far as reaching, but at the same time, he never even got to enjoy it, if that makes sense. And so I think that this whole notion now in the world of like, well, we all need to reach a certain place, and we're only really accomplished in our life if, we've reached this benchmark. The benchmark's changing. Pluto's in there. Jupiter's coming in with Saturn, its natural home. This is a huge major reset in the traditions and values of what is reaching high. From 1517 to let's just say 75, when the revolution started. A lot of people think it was in 1776, but they were printing money in 1775. To help start the war effort with the Continental Congress, the first one, Continental money, The bar that was set high from the Renaissance was your art. What you contributed to make the world understand it as a better place. People like Leonardo da Vinci. We can go on for hours about the people from the 1500s, unless you guys have never done any history. But that was a notion of reaching high. It wasn't about how much money you had. They definitely didn't have, Chase bank accounts with their app on going, hey, did you see my bank account today, dude? When I was on the Wall Street, it was so funny to see them all like, hey, did you see that? Yeah. Wasn't that shit. It was more like, look what I left, 16th Chapel. Right? We value these people. How many people do we value that has a really big bank account or like, I don't know, who owned a bunch of buildings or I don't know, whatever it is. This whole new notion came in after the Revolutionary War of, okay, what is going to be left that's going to be great in the world? And at the time it really was creating a nation, right? Creating a nation of freedom. Creating and being part of that nation. But with everything that's going on in the transits and everything, if you notice, we're at this same cross point to where all that stuff's going to change of what is the top. What is, business? Is business even a word we want to use, if that makes sense? The whole financial system and everything, astrologers, of course, are saying, of course, we know the currency is going to change. In 1775, when Pluto was at the very last degrees of Capricorn, was the exact same time that the Continental Army started to go, well, if we're going to fucking revolt against these fucking Brits, we better like make some money to pay them, because who's going to want to be in our army if we have no money? So you know what they did is they just fucking printed money and just fucking here you go, here's money. There was no backing to that. And there's no irony that by the end of the Revolutionary War at 1781, did you know that all the currency that they made was literally worthless? Is that happening again right now? All the money that we know that we play with is all worthless anyway. And the universe always does provide what we need. It even worked for George Washington and all his homeboys. They fucking printed fake fucking monopoly money and put Continental Congress on it. Welcome to the new country. Okay, I'll buy into that one. All right. Now, a lot of people like to talk about crypto, right? Crypto. Crypto's creeping me out. You know what I mean? It even says creep in it, you know. Crypto's creepy. My opinions on crypto is, yeah, I do believe in a currency that definitely could be invisible and traded peer-to-peer. And there's a lot more that goes to that, of course, with you mining, and you can make money off that. But let's look at history. You know what Benjamin Franklin's number one issue was during the war? And it had nothing to do with the war itself or people dying, or you didn't see Benjamin Franklin out there with a fucking pitchfork like killing someone. He had to deal with the Brits counterfeiting the money. So what the Brits were doing was they were making continental money, and they were over pushing it out there of what's real, what's fake, to where there was no value left in the money system. And that was their way of trying to get people to not believe in the currency and not believe in the money and not fight. And so Benjamin Franklin, who of course with his crazy eyeglasses, or if you watch National Treasure, he had some crazy shit, maybe. I believe that shit. I'm sure he had some fucking like weird shit. And remember, everything was secret society back then, so he'd be opening a book and then like turn it over, oh, nobody's around, write something crazy, and what do you mean? I'm just sitting here. But this notion of crypto, what I feel is going to happen is counterfeiting. If you can complete, like counterfeiting was a big deal, right? Why do you think we rechanged the whole $100 bill in the early 2000s, right? It was like, oh my God, they're counterfeiting the money. Let's make it really hard to counterfeit. And then we've been living and coasting through with not a lot of counterfeit money. How many people do you see fucking still put in that little yellow line? It's like 1 to 5% of the time. Most people are like, yeah, okay, that's good. Or they do this in the light, or most of the time, especially here, I've noticed in New York, I can fucking throw hundreds out, and they're just like, yeah, fucking thanks, bitch. Cha-ching. We went to the Empire State Building, and they're like, it's like Disneyland. Okay, walk in a line to go to the top, $58. Okay, all right, you know. They don't look at the dollars. They fucking just throw it in there. What I believe is coming is counterfeit to the highest extreme with this crypto stuff. Because how easy is it to just go into a computer and a hacker that can tap, one of the biggest hacks of all time was Equifax, right? They have all of our information, whether it's our birth dates to our social security numbers to, how many times you filed bankruptcy or whatever. They have all that. So it makes you think if we move to a whole entire crypto world, oh my gosh, I could just hire Craig back there. He's a secret agent. No, I'm just kidding. He's really good at computers. Or we could hire some hacker. And guess what? Oh, yeah. Throw in there 1 million Bitcoins of whatever that motherfucker is. Bam. Counterfeiting is going to be huge in this next 8 years, because the other part of it is when counterfeiting happens, the only thing that matters is the purpose. So all those those Continental Army, our Revolutionary War, the guys who created this country, you know what? At the end of the day, it really wasn't about the money that they did it for. It was the purpose. And do you think that George Washington and all of them were making bank during that whole fucking time? It was their purpose, which had a value, and that is currency you can't buy. So there's a repeat of that coming. And the currency to create your life and better is, can I create a currency that is worth so much it's priceless? Because once you create priceless energy, the universe dumps whatever you need there. And I think what's coming, because if we mix the last time Uranus was in Taurus with all this, yeah, it was a really weird time because it was like canned goods were like fucking bomb. People were like, especially back then, remember Pluto was in Cancer, so it's opposite of where it is now. People couldn't find a job back then. Remember, it was like, oh my God, it's so sad. We live in a world where it's like, if you don't have a job, you can literally turn on your computer and go on Craigslist or Job Search or Monster, and fucking Facebook has jobs now. I don't know if you guys saw that. And there's so many million, but we're all too good for that shit. I can't do that. Right? Where on the opposite side of Pluto in the 1930s, it was like, I will do anything for a fucking job to feed my family. Give it to me now, please. You want me to scrap? You want me to wipe your ass? All right, let's do it. I'm down. How much you got? People don't see that we're in a world now where there's a million jobs out there. It's just whether or not you feel that it's connected with your destiny now. Does that make sense? And that's a hard one because what is your destiny? Well, that's what the last 8 years was, Uranus and Aries, since 2010. Who are you? What's that from, Alice in Wonderland? Who are you? Because Uranus, remember, is the ruler of the heavens. Because he is the god of the skies. And I was telling the VIPs earlier, the closer you are to God, because that's what Uranus is trying to do, is bring you as close, because Uranus is not God. But Uranus is so high up, and not on weed from Denver, but he's so high up that he can understand quite a lot because he's so close to God. So if God was sitting right next to me, and I'm repeating this for the VIPs, but I'll find a different thing. It's like, man, you smell good, But, anybody back there, I can't smell you. I don't know you. Like, how's your hair smell back there? Smell good? Like, I don't know. My nose can't smell your hair. But if you were right next to me, I could just do a little, oh, yeah. Oh, or wait, is that Pert Plus? Fuck. And the thing about Uranus is it wants to get us closer, because once we get closer to a higher place and we get close to God, then we're able to understand God, even though as God is sitting here. I don't know if you guys saw God. He's here right now, or she's here right now. Hey, baby. But I'm so close, I can feel it, right? And with Uranus now in Taurus, it's trying to raise you about your self-worth. But before we finish this whole, Uranus-Taurus, or enter this Uranus-Taurus thing, we got to do Uranus and Aries still. Uranus comes back into Aries in November. Oh, man. For the last hit, which is the big question of who you are. And why do you think Aries is the first sign? And why does this have to deal with your purpose? Because there are 4 signs that are cardinal. The first part of an astrology chart is cardinal because it's the start of something. And if you ever look at your chart, your rising, your midheaven, your IC, and your descendant, those are the 4 cardinal points in your chart because they start the seasons, right? We start Aries on March 20th. Boom! I'm going out in my nice clothes, it's warm again, Boom! Cancer, June 21st. I'm going to be a crab and finally come out of my shell. It's got sun outside and go to the pool. I feel comfortable. Unless a Cancer, didn't do the whole bikini, workouts before. Then a Cancer's like, I can't go to the pool. No, I'm not going to go do that. It's like, oh my God, come out. Then we've got Libra, right, on the descendant, which is all about engaging in a partnership, right? There's an engagement part. That's what all cardinal signs are engaging. Doesn't mean they finish it, but at least they engaged. Hey, I swiped right on you. Want to go on a date? Boom. But then we get to the last one, which is Capricorn, December 21st. And why is that one so important? Because that's when the sun literally is at its most dead space. And it takes 3 days to rise to the December 25th, where finally it comes back over the horizon and we start to see it coming up. Of course, there's the correlations with Jesus Christ in there. And the whole dying and going through the 3 days of resurrection till it resurrects on the 25th of December. But with Capricorn, it's all about engaging into your purpose. But if you don't have all those other parts connected, you don't know who you are. So really, Aries is a noun. I'm a person, place, or a thing. So when people don't know what to call themselves, or they don't know the place they want to go, or they don't know the things they like to do, I don't know what to do. It's more like, no, you just don't know what you want to inside take action towards. It's kind of like sitting at, a corner here in New York and being like, which way do I want to go? It's like, fucking just go a direction and I'm sure you'll find it. Aries is very simple. But with Uranus coming back here into Aries, your purpose is defined by what you are and who you are. And with Uranus trying to get as close to heaven of knowing who you really are is, if you're really afraid of becoming that, because Uranus tries to break you through your cycles of fear and to get you to a higher place, this is where it's like, I am not going to do what I don't want to do. And this has been connected with the Pluto-Uranus square since 2000. Technically, it hit exactly in 2012, but it's been going on since 2010 because Uranus entered Aries in 2010. Pluto was in Capricorn at the first degrees. So since 2010, the whole entire 2010s has been like, am I doing what I really want to do? Or is this not really resonating with me anymore? And so I think a lot of people at this point right now realize in order to reach your purpose, it really starts with you having to make a very difficult choice of choosing a path of who you are. And the reason why I'm saying it's a difficult choice is because not only is Uranus coming back, but we have a good old asteroid who's really a weirdo. He's not even an asteroid, named Chiron, who has just entered into Aries right when Uranus left it. And why is this significant? Well, because in 1967, when Uranus left Pisces and moved into Aries, it was a lot where it's like, are you a hippie or fucking not? Do you drink whiskey or are you going to smoke some weed and do some LSD with me? There was a split. Did you guys ever watch Mad Men, It was like there was the hippies and then there was the guys who kind of, were like, no, I'm like advertisers and I'm going to drink whiskey. And, it was like a very split department. And Chiron in Aries asks a very difficult question in our lives right now because it's at the last degree of the zodiac, Pisces 29. It just moved to the first degrees of Aries, and this year it retrogrades back into Pisces again. So we have Chiron and we have Uranus retrograding back to the last degrees of their signs that they're going to occupy. And whenever you have things at the last degrees, it's always intense. But at the 29th degree of Pisces and the 29th degree of Aries is, I'm going to move forward into a world, but I'm also going to have to let go of a bunch of shit. Surrender. And this is what's hard because deep inside of ourselves, before we understand what our purpose is, we can't reach there unless we make the most difficult choice of our life coming up at the end of this year of, one, is this who I really am? Whether it's in my relationship, my job, my family, because that's what Aries looks at. And Pisces is our soul. Is this what my soul really, really resonates with? Chiron, remember, is the fucking weirdo. He's the fucking deformed baby in space going around in his own fucking direction. So we all feel deformed and off spiritually. Like, this isn't in alignment. And that's why this is such a difficult choice, because it's like, are you going to actually fucking own up with now Uranus and Taurus kind of seeding this new self-worth and value? Like, can I live a better life in myself? Now, I'm going to bridge the relationship thing in because I know that's what everybody wants to hear, because I know that's what's hitting you all the deepest inside. The reason why is because the planet Venus is going to go retrograde in October in Scorpio, where it hates, by the way. Remember, Venus loves Taurus and loves Libra, but it does not like Aries and it does not like Scorpio. And where was the last Venus retrograde? Nobody knows. 18 months, coming up in October. Remember, every 18 months, Venus does a retrograde. And the last one was in Aries, right? So Venus, if you follow the Venus cycle, right? If you guys, I'm sure all you guys here have at least seen the pattern of the star that Venus does in its retrograde cycles, right? It's a beautiful thing. Venus represents our women. It represents our true self of what we desire and want in life, want to manifest, want to create. It's been retrograding in signs that it does not like. So we live in a world in which, unfortunately, the beauty of the world is not the beauty that was around for thousands of years. Because in our lives, Venus has just been going retrograde in all the signs it doesn't like. The star cycle is beautiful, but at the end of the day, when it goes and starts adjusting to signs it doesn't like, it kind of gets stuck in that cycle until it finally kicks itself out. So why do you think that so many relationships right now in the world are so unstable and not knowing and like, what the fuck's going on here? And is this in alignment? Do I really like it? Do I have to really like put up with this? Is because Venus has not been in a good place. And why is this Venus retrograde so significant? And how is it going to connect with you bettering in the world? And with how the money system's going to change? Is because, one, if you go back to 1983 and 1984, the planet Pluto and Saturn made its conjunction point, which means they were in the exact same place. It's a lot like Al Capone and, I don't know, some really bad thug hanging out together. It's not in astrology, right? We rank things as really positive, right? Like, ooh, Jupiter and Venus. And then at the very bottom would be Saturn and Pluto. So the Saturn-Pluto thing's coming in 2019, folks. It's already begun. Al Capone's creeping his way over to another thug. Like, yeah, man. It's going down. And it happened last time in 1983 in the sign of Libra. Why do you think divorce rates went through the fucking roof in the 80s? And why do you think since that point we haven't figured it out? Because what is the cycle of Pluto and Saturn? Dead room. 33 years. And guess what? Oh, we're right here, 2019. And the reason why this Pluto-Saturn cycle is so important is it's completing the 33-year cycle. And you got to like remember with the 33 years, like Pluto and Saturn are really slow planets. So when they finally meet up, you've got Saturn that takes, 29 years to go around the sun. Then you've got Pluto, which takes 248 years to come around the sun. So for them both to meet up in the same spot, it's a 33-year cycle. But in that 33 cycle, there's a couple years before of them kind of getting really close, because they're really slow. It's kind of like, and they're coming into the sign to meet of Capricorn. They're already there right now. And what's interesting about this is relationships have been in such a fucked up place since then. Because when you combine the fact that the two signs that deal with destruction and chaos, or if you guys know the Tower card in astrology or in tarot, that's Pluto, Saturn, bitch. Bam, you got the Tower. Hi, have a nice life. You want another reading? Call me up next week. And that happened, and that destruction happened in the sign of Libra in the 80s. And then guess what? Pluto went into Scorpio with Saturn. And guess what? That was the HIV coming out. That was sexual revolutions in weird ways. That was there was the genocides time where there were genocides of people. People were like killed in masses. Yeah, Pluto Scorpions, watch out. That generation's fucking freaky. Be careful. Don't let a Pluto and Scorpio fool you. I'm not Pluto Scorpio, guys, so. But why do I bring this up about relationships? Libra deals with, hi, nice to meet you. We're in a partnership. Let's get married. Like, whatever. Let's be business partners. Let's be friends. You're my dog. I'm your owner. Okay? That's Libra. It doesn't really come with much else. What is Scorpio? fuck yeah, that tastes so good. You look fucking great. When you combine Scorpio with Libra, boom! Yeah! We're meeting up and yeah, I fucking like it a lot, right? Well, when the Pluto-Saturn cycle happened way back then, and then it happened, from Libra into Scorpio, and now this is where Venus is about to retrograde, and guess where Saturn was from 2009 to 2015, exactly in these same spots. This has been the biggest construction job in the world for the last 33 to 35 years about relationships, sex, connecting, and finding the ultimate union. Why do you think people are like, oh, twin flames, where is my twin flame? I know it's somewhere. But there's an actual real truth to that shit. Because everybody inside is going like, and it's not only love, it's all kinds of relationships. Like, where's that person? Or where are those people? Where are they? Do you think it's a coincidence that the same year here in 2018 that we're going to have a Mars retrograde, which deals with our masculinity, our identity, and our drive, is going to happen in the sign of Aquarius, which deals with connecting and finding the people, exactly where the South Node is, which is the most karmic spot, dealing with past life karma and bringing the right people and bringing those connections together. At the same year that Venus retrogrades right after it, coming up here in October, in the signs that deal with sex, love, relationships, glue. So when it comes to your purpose, when it comes to business, when it comes to even money and all this stuff and self-worth, because actually money is just an understanding of your value, right? If I walk down the street, like I'm wearing fucking Ted Baker right now, you know what I mean? Fucking I feel good. The universe is going to attract me more money. I'm talking on Canon fucking 4K cinema fucking cameras. Not some cheap shit I found on Amazon. You can't buy these on Amazon. You can't. Actually, technically you can, but you don't know what you're getting. When you have self-worth and value in yourself, you manifest more money. Well, guess what? When you're in a relationship and a sexual connection and a deeper connection and it's not fucking 100, oh, do you really think you're going to get it all? Crickets. And so when it comes to manifesting our purpose, when it comes to manifesting the greatest thing we could ever have in our life, it's going to start with who the fuck is in your life. Because the second there's something that doesn't feel right, this is the hard part of Chiron rubbing over the end and the beginning of the zodiac, is there's a great call, the same one that happened in the late 1960s, of which direction people took. There was a whole direction of people who said, we're doing the spiritual hippie thing, fuck yeah, and I'm riding my fucking Volkswagen bus till the end. And then there was a whole side that said, I'm following Nixon-style politics and all that shit, and we're going to go that way. And now we're at the crossroads where both of them meet. And we're at that crossroads where it's like, okay, in order to get to that greater place in our life, our business, our self-worth, oh man, do I have to let go of something that people would think is crazy? Because what is the last degree of Pisces? Crazyville. Hi, I'm in the mental hospital. Please hand me my medications. Oh, thank you. I feel much better now. That's the last degree of Pisces, because what is the last degree of Pisces? It is the last degree of the last sign of the last moment before the sun comes of March 20th in a new spring. Now, I don't know this shit because I live in California, where every day the fucking sun's out, the bikinis are out, the surfers are out, and everybody, it's like, what day is it, dude? Every Christmas, I always put a picture, and I'm always on the beach, and I'm like, yeah, it's 79 degrees. Hope everybody, Merry Christmas. We don't fucking know what day it is because it's the same fucking weather every fucking day. But as somebody who understands the seasons, which I would say New Yorkers know better than most, with these seasons come this understanding of, when things change. And with Chiron at this last degree here, at the last degree of Pisces, it's literally like you're in winter, you're fucking so over it. You're like, God damn it, give me some sun. I'm stuck in this fucking small apartment I'm paying $6,000 for a fucking month, and fucking they don't even fix the fucking heater, and the guy next door is doing all this shit, and oh my God. I know I've been to New York many times. I can't even count on 5 fingers, so I get it. And I've stayed in apartments, and I get it here, So it's like, the last degree of Pisces is when you're just like in Looneyville. Like, okay, well, I just don't really care anymore. I don't know what else to do. Like, I fucking surrender. Fuck this shit. But it's that moment when you finally let it go. Guess what happens? Oh my God, I'm on the rooftop and there's sun. Oh, I'm feeling better now. Was it the meds that made you feel better, or was it the sun coming up? It's a good question. But when you get that, there's always a moment when Chiron rubs through, because what is Chiron? Of course, it's the wounded healer. But what's deeper than that is it asks you to make a call in your life to let go of something that seems crazy, but it's not fully integrated into who you are. So to the world, it's a lot like the story of a millionaire who lets go of his $1 million to go pursue something that he feels he's more connected with. Like maybe he wants to go live in the Amazon jungle or something and let go of his life here. And people will be like, you fucking idiot, here, I'll take your money, thanks. But at the end of the day, it's whatever calls to your true self and inner soul. And that's the hard part, because people are going to think you're fucking loony. Yeah, I'm letting go of this. It's really not connected with me in my life. But this is the only way to get to fucking self-worth and to your destiny. Is the call is, especially with Uranus coming over Taurus and Aries at the last degrees, is, you know what? I know who I really am, and I know what I really want. There's no more of this, well, I want a car, but you know what? I want to save some money. I'm just going to go buy a Kia. Okay, fuck it. I live in Carville, and nothing against Kias. They're really nice cars, and they come with a great warranty. I can sell you one right now if you guys want. Anybody? I used to be a car salesman before this. But the thing about when you go to a car dealer is, what are the first things that you ask for? I want a sunroof. I want leather. I want fucking heated seats. I want fucking all this. This is Taurus shit, right? Like, I want, and it'll make me feel good, and also it'll hold the value. This is hard because we're all facing our own building of a car in our life, and it's all being determined based off what we're willing to truly align with and who we are and go towards that and build it. But if we're too afraid to let go of who we are and say, you know what, I'll cut back, don't give me the sunroof. I guess I can live without power windows. And then you know what people do? I've been a car salesman for a long time, in my early 20s. And I was actually worked on boats, but then when the economy tanked, boats went first. So I went to cars thinking I was safe, and then fucking 2008 hit, and cars fucking did. It's a whole nother story. But what I noticed with people is how they talk to themselves and downgrading their value. Oh no, I don't need the power windows. You know what? It's gonna save me $20 a month. I'll deal with rolling it up. I'll be like, really? You're gonna roll it up when it's raining and you're smoking your cigarette at the same time and burning yourself and putting ash all over their fucking self? For $20? Hey, I ain't gay, but $20 is fucking $20. That shirt's going around everywhere. I think it's hilarious. That people start to tend to the notion of, I'm going to convince myself that I'm not that good, or I'm not deserving of it. And that's what Uranus and Taurus is building. And when we're making this major choice of who we really are we going to make the choice of staying in something in our life that we really aren't aligned with by telling ourselves because we're not good enough for it, or you know what, we really aren't attached to raising closer to God, to a higher, more valuable self? And that's the only way to access, which is at the end of 2019, which is about our highest purpose. We can't get to that highest purpose until we deal with this shit in 2018 first. A Mars retrograde in Aquarius, people are going to pop out of fucking nowhere like Jack in the Boxes. Ba-bing, ba-bing, ba-bing. Who the fuck are you? But man, like, oh, this is interesting. It's already happening right now. Look at this room. All you Jack in the Boxes. It's already happening. Mars is in Aquarius right now. It's coming towards the south node this week, and it's getting ready for its retrograde on June 25th. So, this is the moment where the universe is about to spring up lots of people while a relationship transit that's bigger than we've ever seen in our lives is coming up with Venus retrograding in Scorpio. And where does it come direct? It's home sign of Libra. And we haven't seen this because guess what? Every cycle of Venus retrograde, of course, is 18 months. But it's every 8 years that it will come back around to the same star point where it will retrograde. So what were you all doing on November of 2010 with your relationships? Think about that one for a second. All that's coming back. But you know what happened at that time? Uranus went retrograde in only Scorpio. So it went direct in Scorpio, so it wasn't fully happy. It got something it wanted, but it was like, oh man, there's some shit here I didn't realize, fuck. This time, Venus is going to retrograde in Scorpio and get deeper and be like, this smells good, this doesn't smell good. You look like shit, you look great. Fucking, you taste good, you don't taste good. And then it's going to come, especially with Mars retrograding through, and finishing in Aquarius this year, right? Then it's going to come into Libra and go, and turn around and go, beauty, connection. This is who I really vibe with. That's what I really want. And this is going to be the same time that Uranus comes back into Aries. So it really is about this end of the year. And I hate to tell everyone that the next 5 months is going to just be kind of like a crazy... Because at the end of the year is the real call towards, you can't reach whatever we call it, because I'm not some fucking all-knowing person who knows what purpose should be in the world. I think society is going to figure that one out on its own. But I can tell you that at the end of the year when these transits happen, that we all individually are going to come to a point where we go, holy shit, this is who I am. This is what I have to let go of. And I'm done connecting to things that are half-ass. Half-ass. Chiron to me in Pisces is kind of like, I'm compassionate for it enough that I'll hold on to it even though it's a shitty situation. Most Chiron and Pisces people are like that. It's a shitty situation, but fucking I'll find a better way to deal with it. Does that make sense? So at the last degree of Pisces, it's kind of like, oh, you're going to see the split between people here. Oh, especially to reach your purpose and all that stuff. Oh, I'll just deal with it even though I don't feel it fully. And then Uranus is coming to 29 degrees Aries in November and December, where it will finally come direct at the beginning of 2019. It'll be literally like, oh, I really wanted that though in my life, and I didn't think I was good enough. And that's going to be hard for people, because letting go of what you think is hard to let go of is really where the magic is. Because you know deep down in your side, you don't want it anyway. And so it's hard because Chiron feels like if we let somebody down, or we let a job down, or we let something down in our life, that we're a piece of shit. The only piece of shits I see are in toilets and on the street by dogs. Not us. We're not pieces of shit for not wanting to deal with life half-ass. when I look at this beautiful cosmos, I could sit here all day and talk about what currencies are going to do and all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, the self-worth and value to reaching your purpose is going to be this point to where you're done doing the half-ass bullshit connections. And that's a very hard one for all of us in this room, because it literally is asking us to raise higher in our self-worth, our egos, which of course Eckhart Tolle just destroyed the motherfucking ego forever. I feel bad for egos. I feel bad for ego. I really do, because it's kind of like, man, ego is a trigger word in the spiritual community now. It's like, oh my God, you drive a fucking Corvette, my fucking ego. It's like, no, it's a fast car, bitch. Hello, Taurus. The problem with identification of ego and self-worth is people identify with things as ego without checking the value of it. Well, maybe he does live in California on the beach. If it were me, I'd probably want to have a convertible Corvette that was really fast. That'd be fun. But living in fucking the snow would not be fucking economical. Does that make sense? So these are where the difficult positions are going to come, is the battle between, are you going to do it all half-ass and just try and hold on to things because you don't want to be a piece of shit, even though nobody in the room is saying that you're a piece of shit? You're the only one telling yourself you're a piece of shit. And if somebody else tells you you're a piece of shit for doing the life that you want, whether it's a job, a love, a project, anything that's going to come up here, because that's what Venus represents. Love, money, self-worth, relationships, projects, creation. How is the society going to move forward into this new world if everybody's living it half-ass? The universe just looks down and goes, well, they're half-assing it, so I'll wait till they're ready. And so everybody thinks it's, who's in the presidency that will change the world? It never has been that ever. The only thing that changes the world are when people step up as individuals in their highest self. I'll give Abe Lincoln a lot of credit. It wasn't Abe Lincoln who quit slavery. It really was all the people before Abe Lincoln that brought it up. It was the people who knew that it was wrong, who knew it wasn't of worth to people, to the world, to a better community. Abe kind of signed the paper, if that makes sense. Of course, he gets all the credit because he was there. But there's so many other people and millions of people that died for that. And so I think it's important for us to realize that we're coming into some very muddied waters. And the muddied waters are definitely about whether or not you're gonna do these hard choices. And looking forward into 2019 and 20 about business is gonna change. Look at every fucking storefront. Unless it's got some huge investor that's like corporated out the fuck, the local TV shops almost all gone. The local furniture stores are almost all gone. Like there's this huge change point in our business world where it's those that are trying to find their what they call their best way to the top. But with all these planets coming in to change the game, and business was changed the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn it was a war machine that created the new world. It's always a war that has changed it for some reason in our history. I'm not calling out war or anything because I don't want to do that. But the last time Uranus was in Taurus from 1933 all the way up until, around 1940, until Hitler kind of went crazy, and he went crazy the whole time, but he went really fucking crazy at the end, was when Uranus went to Gemini, is the economy was based off a war machine. Even Americans were building boats and all this shit. Do you think they knew we were going to war? oh, let's just build a massive military, but we're going to be neutral. But Pearl Harbor happens and, oh, nobody saw them coming. Yeah, right. So you guys know me, I'm not afraid to go there. What's coming up with this collective understanding of money and business is based upon war. Because Pluto in Capricorn is the fight for whose land is mine. And what I believe the new currency is going to be in the end is going to be not only land, water, those kind of things, but even on the internet, who's got a space where I can be myself? Facebook's now under pressure by the government to do a certain thing. Their new algorithms don't let you reach everybody that you want to reach. The whole world is going to be becoming a place, and where is my safe haven where I can be myself? That is worth more than gold in the future of all of us that are connected on the internet and wanting to express ourselves, especially at the end of 2018 when we're finally like, I'm not half-assing this shit anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm ready. And then we're going to come ready, and guess what? Everything's in fucking Capricorn. Oh, man. Saturn and Pluto conjuncting. Oh, man. There's restrictions everywhere. And you're going to have to barrel through them. And there's this fight for whose is what. Because every time Pluto is in Capricorn, it's a big fight of whose is whose. No, the colonies are actually us, the peoples, not yours, Britain. That's Pluto Capricorn. So building your value and your self-worth and not half-assing yourself is extremely important, because the restrictive barriers that are coming in 2019 and 2020 are massive to try and contain you from expressing your true self. Because if you're not allowed to express your true self, you're not going to be able to align with your destiny. People don't want you to be aligned with your destiny. They want you to fit into what their destiny is. Right? We attach to corporations and stuff like, oh yeah, like, so the goal of this corporation is to be at the top of this and da-da-da. So we become on the team, and then the ultimate goal is to be part of it, and we get really excited about it, and maybe it's part of your own life purpose. But it's always their purpose that you're just subliminally kind of like joining towards. And I think what's coming with all this Uranus, Taurus, with all this, is realizing that it's your own destiny that you can create during this time. And I think that the new world economy is going to allow that. But the blocks that are going to be in place are the subliminal messaging, and more importantly, whether or not you're going to choose to half-ass it or not. Counterfeit energy is going to come out more than you've ever seen. And I actually believe that America, since it's been on the Federal Reserve System, and when Uranus coming into Taurus here, I think it's going to try and create its own different, unique currency. You got to remember that the Federal Reserve is a bunch of private banks that are all in bed together and distribute money out. And you know how much money we owe in China. Why do you think China's buying all this shit right here? I thought it was so funny. I was on Times Square yesterday. I'm looking up, and the fucking top fucking LED monitor was all in Chinese. I was like, of course. Or if you go, I don't know if any New Yorkers ever make it into the Midwest, like through Kansas or Nebraska or any places like that. Do you know the Chinese are buying up all that land? And of course, it's really easy. You know why? Because it's like some Chinese guy shows up and goes, hey, I've got $25 million for your property, and it's really maybe only worth $5. Okay, thank you, sir. Yay. There's this whole like American dream of having a lot of money and having it and all and giving away what's really valuable. So somebody else can take it, because China is coming in and taking land and owning it, because they also know at the end of the day they've invested so much here. If we don't pay them back, they'll be like, well, hey, we own the country. So I think the Chinese and United States relationships are going to be extreme with Uranus and Taurus. About, there's no coincidence that Trump's doing the trade negotiations, whatever that's fucking called at the moment. Because at the end of the day, that's actually a serious situation for what Pluto in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, South Node in Capricorn, eclipses in Capricorn, Uranus and Taurus, all in 2019. Earth signs, ownership, property. This is like Monopoly. And if you're not going to step up and be afraid to buy Boardwalk, like, I can't buy Boardwalk, no. I'm not good enough for that in my life. You're going to lose the game. Because guess what? If you're just like, I'll just buy Marvin Gardens. I'm cool with that. There's going to be a bunch of other people. When you get Pluto, it's obsession. There are people who are obsessed to take it all at the same time right now. And the only thing between them and that are when you step up into your individual self-worth power, because they're expecting you to not. Let's go back to 1967 and 68 with all this Uranus switching signs into the same spot. They laughed and said, go have your spiritual revolution. We've still got all these things set up, and society won't accept you for a long time. It finally took until the Pluto-Uranus square, because you got to remember in 1966, right? Pluto-Uranus conjunct, big spiritual revolution. People are taking acid, having orgies, unprotected sex, fucking awesome time. Fuck you for who lived then. I didn't get that shit. But it was integrated into society with the Pluto-Uranus square. Ironically enough, in the year of 2012, which the Mayans were pointing towards, the shift of our understanding and where we are from the ecliptic to understanding to the galactic center, exactly 2012. This last 6 years has been about the spiritual buildup of people becoming awake for a crazy spiritual revolution that's about to happen. And for those that know that, they know it deep in their heart that it's right finally here. But like I told the VIPs earlier, Uranus and Taurus is very hard to feel because it's an air sign that's really electric, but it's in an earth sign that's full of concrete and mud. It's like a sentinel coming down in the matrix that you can't hear until the last second. There's this huge collective rearranging of values that need to be found and ownership of your greatness. Because when the world doesn't own how great it is and others determine what the understanding of greatness is in the world, we're fucked. Because then the people aren't determining what's great. The government will determine what's great. Did you know, and I don't think it's any irony, that in the last couple months in China, I don't know the exact number, so I'm not going to be able to come as kind of like a intelligent person here and give you the exact number, but I want to say it's either 22 million or 220 million. I actually think it's 220 million cameras have been installed and working in China now, where they rate you, they like scan you, and they see what you're wearing, and they rate you. So if you're wearing a nice suit and everything, they automatically put you in a nicer category. If you're like in shambles and smoking a cigarette or something or whatever and look like a dirtbag, you automatically go in the dirtbag category. Then they zoom in on you and they're able to hear what you say. And if you're talking about something and anything, they go, oh, this is a risk. Throw them in that category. Then they compile all the risk candidates into a computer system. And one guy sits there all day with police officer and goes, well, yeah, this person, you need to watch for that person. They're not part of the way that our Chinese system is going to work. It's called Big Brother. I'm not saying that's going down here right now. They don't need cameras. They're already seeing it all over your Facebook every day. They know what you wore yesterday. They know what you said to your friend on the messenger yesterday. They already know. They don't need cameras. I always laugh when people have their little, like, they have their laptop and they always put something over their camera. It's like, you should own that. You should be like, look at my big dick. Come on. If you're a girl, like, look at these beautiful breasts. Like, what are you talking about? Own it. You know what I mean? That's the other part of Uranus and Taurus is owning who you are self-worth-wise. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but it's kind of like, at the end of the day, it's like if you really don't value every part of yourself, even every mole, every hair in every weird place, you don't know your self-worth fully. So how do I combine all this that I've told you today into the future of business and finances? The world is going to determine what is the new currency based off what the collective community understands of value. So after coming out of the Great Depression, the newest value was to just have a job, which created the whole just kind of, I'm happy to be an American and I'm happy to have a family and a job and I'm happy, and that was a high currency, right? Or even a high self of worth. In the 40s, it was just about good, music. We survived the war and boom, okay, that was it. But we really haven't seen since then a resurgence or a re-bringing back of redefining what that currency is. And whenever a transit happens, whenever it's coming into a new sign, and it hasn't happened for 80 some on years or 150 years or however you want to look at it, right? It's always like we're at the end of a cycle. So the identification of what we all value as a community is over. So those things from the 30s that carried into the 40s that were very valuable once then are no longer valuable now. Let's be honest, we look at canned soup as a fucking disgusting thing that we have to eat when we're sick, when we don't want to go outside and eat anything because we're too sick. But in 1940, it was like, look at canned food. Oh my God, give me that shit. That is bomb. Chef Boyardee made some fucking money with his canned goods. Because back then, you got to remember refrigeration, stuff like that in the early 1900s and stuff. They didn't have fucking refrigerated trucks going down the fucking street and on the fucking highways and stuff. In the trains, they would literally just put ice in a big bucket and with the meat and just say, get it going, just go. You can't hold on, go, get it there. And half of it would spoil and they would throw the meat away. So when canned goods came out, it was like, oh my God, heaven. When the refrigerator came out, heaven. You got to remember that we were evolving as a species to things like that. Now we're looking at it and we can't, we look at a refrigerator and we're just like, yeah, it's a fucking refrigerator. We don't remember the value of that anymore because it's already been put into our collective consciousness that already is valuable, but we're looking for the new higher versions of value. So people can tell you all day long that cryptocurrency is going to be the new currency. But I think the new value is going to be things that we don't know yet. That's the thing about Uranus. We don't know till we reach there, until we reach God at a higher position. And that reset button was just hit. And so the new things that are of value in your life, the new currencies, might not be the same. And for some reason, my guides tell me it's going to be places on the internet where you can be free, or new places physically in the world where you can express yourself the way that you really want to. But at the end of the day, it's going to start with your own self, your own identification. And when it comes to business, that's all connected with this major choice you're making this year on whether or not you're connected with the right people, the right projects that are truly aligned 100% with you. Scorpio is not a sign that will do anything it doesn't want to. Okay, there's an orgasm and then there's a fucking orgasm. Where do you fit in between those two things with your connections? It was interesting because I've done this a lot and tour different cities and see people's reactions. And there was a man at the Denver show who looked at me like I was fucking insane. When I started bringing out like, have you ever had a fucking orgasm and the back scratch and fucking and just and you start making the faces, Have you ever done that before? And then he was looking at me like this, like. And I kind of felt bad because I kind of knew deep inside he's like actually looking at me like, I wonder what that is. I've seen it in pornos. Maybe my wife's been looking through my phone. But with Scorpio, with Venus retrograding there, guess what? If it ain't 100, if it doesn't taste 100% as good as your own private, and I want to say that again, private soul. Scorpio is about your own hidden self. You know, we can all look in a room, or we can all walk on the street, especially, and be like, oh, that's a nice ass. Or girls will be like, oh, that guy's got a nice butt. My wife voted for Justin Trudeau, or she didn't even vote, but she said all her girlfriends voted for Justin Trudeau because he had a nice butt in Canada. It was like, that was how he got elected. Wow. Like, you know, there's a private part of us inside that all look at things like that look at stuff and go, oh, I like that. Whether that's the way a building looks or a person. And Venus in Scorpio is that, right? It's Medusa. And what did Medusa do? Ooh, come here with my snake hair. Have you ever noticed like Scorpios with a lot of Venus and a lot of sun stuff? Sometimes you could see the Medusa hair, you know? And when they try to bring it in, we're at a point too where if you actually look at Venus as money and retrograding in Scorpio, which Scorpio deals with investments, banking, all that stuff, this Venus retrograde at the same time while we're all figuring out our twin flame bullshit that hasn't been going right. I don't know how many readings I've done for everybody was like, well, I met my soulmate and that didn't work out, and then I met my twin flame, but can you please tell me, why is it not working? Oh, it's supposed to not work. I've read on a website somewhere that twin flames are like, or I'm waiting for him because, you know, they always say that in twin flame situations that the person that really you're supposed to be with, like they're going to play hard to get for a while. If it was your twin, it would be like, motherfucker, yeah, bitch, what? I mean, if you look on your emojis, it's the two twins swinging together like, yay! I don't know where this whole notion of like, again, that self-worth inside now and this identification issue stuff going on with like when it doesn't go to a higher place, we somehow try and keep ourselves at a lower place and go, well, it's not really connecting, but you know, like I read somewhere that it's okay for this person to not want to be there or connect with me or da-da-da-da-da. It's like, really? So with money too, at the same time that that's going on, the way that we exchange or some sort of new stock or a change in how we really, I think, exchange money and commodities is going to be triggered because Uranus technically when Venus goes retrograde in October will be still in Taurus. And you got to remember that that's going to mean that we're going to finally start to get an idea of what the new currency looks like. In the 30s, it was tobacco. It was, you know, it was a lot of just basic things like canned goods and tanks and guns. And remember, women were making bullets in America in the 40s. After Uranus had left Taurus, that was the commodity. It was like, you know, so you got to remember that like the factory ideas and all those kind of things are coming up to a reset button. Why, you know, and I think at the same time, a lot of the reasons why we really don't know what to call value in money is because we all individually are going through a starvation inside of ourselves of not feeling connected to who, what, and deeply resonating with where that true connection is back to us. And how can we actually create anything great if we're not there? So this is a really difficult decision for people because it's fucking a hard one. To reach the top, whatever that is, or to reach your destiny is a big, predetermined, difficult decision about your own free will of choosing a feeling that is going to be very difficult to let go of something that people will think are crazy, or yourself will think you're crazy, and I think both, and finally taking control of your life and saying, I'm doing this. Because the only way to get through 2019 with Pluto and Saturn, which happen to be the two bad boys in the zodiac that, you know, that want to just, and then you got Jupiter entering Capricorn at the end of 2019. And if you guys don't know, Jupiter hates Capricorn. It's at fall there because Jupiter wants to open all the doors. But Capricorn's like, sorry, we're only focused on one door here. So when you get all these transits that brought on the dark ages, of course the universe wants to realign you with the partnerships and the projects and the relationships that are all connected with you to be able so you can get through this next chapter. So you can't bullshit yourself. Venus in retrograde in Scorpio is the bullshit master. I know somebody very close to me that went into a relationship at that time when Venus retrograded in Scorpio in 2010. Oh, open it up. Sprite, I don't know what happened to my Sprite. Here, cheers. I know somebody at that time that went to a relationship and everything looked great. And then out of nowhere, and this is a personal friend of mine, they got an STD. They were like, oh my God, what the fuck? This person didn't tell me, right? And it was like, I thought I was in true alignment, but there was so much still hidden, and it didn't feel fully connected. I thought I was fully connected, but I'm not. And so I counseled this person for like weeks to get through it. And this person also, has never really recovered from it. Because you got to remember, Venus in retrograde in Scorpio is when we look for this deep connection, it's also going to expose a lot of things where you, hello, here's the truth. That's why Venus doesn't like being in Scorpio, because it's kind of like bare naked, like everything's exposed, where Venus would rather be in lingerie with the right perfume on, with her hair right, in a beautiful room. Where Venus in Scorpio is like, okay, you're in a hostel and down in Mexico and you haven't done your hair in 4 days and there's no outlet and there's no blow dryer and there's no nothing and you're going to have to fucking hook up with them for your first date. Oh. That's Venus in Scorpio. Like, it's like, oh my God. There's nothing here. Oh, and by the way, yeah, the water's tainted, so you can't take a shower either. Do you sell wet naps? What are those? So my friend got the disease, but it was a treatable disease. But it was just more of like the understanding of like, I thought I was fully connected, but like for him, he was freaking out because he realized at that point there was something different going on and that person was a different person. And it was like that person was actually living a different life too. So what happens with Venus retrograde in Scorpio, sure, it will truly align you with the true colors, but it also aligns you with the true colors in yourself too. Like it really kind of goes, this is who I really am. And maybe, especially because it's coming back into Libra, and as we're moving forward into this new world, and as we're moving forward into this new way the government's going to be, this new way that the economy is going to be and stuff, like you got to be willing to like have that true color of yourself and that balance and those right relationships that truly are who you are. It's kind of hard to be like a raptor and hang out with a brontosaurus. It's better to go hang out with other raptors and go pounce on the prey, what you need. Because the brontosaurus is going to click them off. Oh, man. Fuck you, man. You're freaking ruining it. We'll get to Q&A when we take a break, after the break, so I can answer that stuff. And then I have people come up so they can hear the question. But the question was, like, how does it deal with for you in your own sign and stuff like that? I mean, honestly, I think we get really lost in sun sign astrology and even our natal charts. I think that the universe is talking to us always consciously, and I like to talk about what we're all going through, that we share a common understanding in each other, that we're all feeling something similar. And so on that notion, I think it's important if you can understand that, then, and understand your chart and understand that, then you can move to the next round, which is this really crazy new round that's coming up. The other thing I want to say about, business and stuff is, and I don't want to use it again, but war. I mean, it's like the game Risk. When you're like picking out your continents and stuff, that's all going down in front of our eyes right now on TV, and people are just kind of like, This next cycle and this 2019, this 2020 is really going to be about whose land is whose and who's going to, claim it. Last time Neptune was in Pisces was claim jumpers. Was the rise of Nazis. Who do you think the Nazis are now? The world is looking at us like we're fucking crazy. Two, sorry I dropped some bombs there. That one people don't take lightly, if you know what I mean. They don't, or some people don't like me saying that. But if you follow the patterns of what happened with all the transits with the Hitler, it really wasn't about Hitler as much as it was like the whole idea of this kind of like nationalism, right? We're in all the transits of nationalism, including the nationalism of becoming Americans, which happened the last time. And separatists. No, we are not part of your thing. We just happen to have that in our country's DNA. But at the time that the World War II, remember, America was not a world power. World War I kind of got us in the game. It kind of was like playing Risk, and then we kind of came halfway through the game, not even really, and kind of like showed up for a second and moved a couple pieces and was like, okay, I'm out, I got to go. World War II was like, showing up late in the game, but going like, oh man, it looks like you guys are all fucked. Let me fix this shit. Hold on. Oh my God, everybody looked at America like, wow, you're the shit. Bow down, bow down. So now that we've been holding this thing and Pluto is about to return, none of us live for a Pluto return. What's going to come up is this understanding of where the country is really going to go next. It's a question between, it's funny that we live in a political system with Republicans and Democrats. And what's interesting is when you look at this whole Neptune and Piscean movement going on, there's some stations that say, we're a democracy. We're a democracy. Well, if you look up your political science, democracy is under or over, but what's underneath, what is the most closest to freedom is republic, a republic. This republic, to which it stands. This is a republic, but the question that's coming up as a country is, do we want to go and stay a republic, or do we want to become a democracy? Do we want to take it up a step and get rid of some rights in order to be more equal? Or is true freedom equality? I can't answer these questions, but that's what's coming up is going to be the civil war that's happening between our country in determining if we're a republic or democracy. And that's a headache when you think of that. Because it deals with money. It deals with all these things that are creating this new world. And what's going to be, I think the scariest part is this country is going to morph into something that we've all never seen it morph. And what do you think is going to happen when we change the way the country operates, or we rip apart an amendment, or we rip apart something The people who love those amendments or love the original Constitution are going to flip and go to war. And the people who want to create the new way are going to flip and go to war. And it's going to be in the middle of while the whole world is looking at us like, fucking, we won't like you. We don't like you bombing everybody. We don't like you doing this. So America's about to go through the fucking hellstorm. If you look at the astrology. So why do you think I'm telling you all to step into your power this year? And why? It's like YOLO. Uranus and Taurus to me is YOLO. You only live once. Like, when you buy a car, like, use it. I live in Newport Beach with I think we're like one of the biggest cities of per capita of millionaires in the world, more than here. They all moved to Newport Beach. And they have houses that nobody's in, and they're fucking 16 cars and nobody's driving. And it's just sitting there. It's just like, what? Use your life through this because, sure, America's going to go through some fucking crazy shit. And the world stage. And what is going to be money and what is going to be business. And the only thing that's going to get you through at the end of the day is knowing your value because you showed the universe your value in your relationships, in the way that you do your projects, in aligning with who you really are and with your career as far as understanding who you are fully. And you will only do that. But if you don't do that, I mean, it's almost like when this crazy world goes around, what do you have to hold on to? America the way it stands right now and another business the way it stands right now that's not aligned with yourself and everything, when that shit falls, where are you going to go? This is the learning of standing on your own 2 feet of your true spiritual self. That's the greatest commodity that ever there was because that means you can build and create anything at once. Do you know how fast it was to create this? I went on a website. I found a venue in New York. I fucking put my credit card number down. Didn't even need to talk to anybody. Bought it. Went on a website that I built on Wix.com. Fucking put it up in 1 minute. Okay, it's at this location and buy tickets here. And then I put out a Facebook post and I said, okay. And I went on my app and said, hey, everybody, come to New York and buy a ticket. Within a day, when you have the power to create whatever you want, whenever you want, money comes to you. But when you have the notion of like, oh man, no, I can't do this. Like, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. What happens if this country loses its money bottom, its structure? What are you going to do? Are you going to rely on the government to fix it for you? You know what's funny about Uranus and Taurus too? Was the New Deal and the whole entire creation of Social Security and all that stuff. There is going to be crazy new things that are going to come out during this Uranus Taurus over the next 8 years that are going to make you feel that you need this in order to get through and to survive. I really get upset, and I get it too, but I get upset when I feel the self-worth of somebody when they're going, I'm just waiting for my fucking Social Security check to come in and I'm okay. By saying that, that means that you're not going to do anything great with life? What does that mean? Like, you're going to rest for your death? So these are all subliminal messages that are put out for you because they don't want you to raise up. You know, when you look at, and here in New York, it's amazing. And this has to deal with money and government more than ever, and especially business. On Wall Street, at the stock exchange, what building is right next to it to the left? You guys all live here. Nobody can tell me? The building that's right next to the stock exchange is the first Congress where George Washington, because there was no Washington, D.C. after the war. Washington went up and got inaugurated as our first president on Wall Street. The first Congress is right there, right next to it. Man, I'm not even in my home city and I know this shit. You know what I mean? Holy shit, man, fuck, man. So anyway, and literally they look at each other. They're at a perfect T looking at each other. And literally George Washington is up there fucking standing looking at the stock exchange. That is no coincidence, okay? What's even crazier about this is when you look at a statue of Washington, these guys were old. Sorry, they weren't 25. Real randy and ready to go fucking change the world. The guys were in their late 50s and early 60s and shit. So when I hear the notion of, I'm ready for my Social Security check, I laugh and always tell them that George Washington is a guide over them fucking kicking them in the ass with his wooden teeth. Fucking fuck you. Do you know what building is right next to the first Congress after when you're on Wall Street? So you look at Wall Street, you look at the stock exchange. Okay, you look at the first Congress where Washington was inaugurated and his stone's there and the whole understanding. Guess what building is right fucking next to it? Well, after the stock exchange. The stock exchange, first Congress. What's next to the first Congress? A Trump building. You guys need to go to Wall Street. You guys want to go on a field trip tonight at 11 p.m.? You know what I mean? It's like right down the fucking street. We can hop on. I think it's the ACD or something or the L train. I don't fucking know which one, but it's fucking pretty easy. I figured it out on the Metro. I got a Metro card. Popped you right up, right in front of it. Boom. Do you think that's all coincidence? That the second that Americans get rid of the notion of the way that the first, the way that we started the nation with George Washington and the first way of Congress and the first republic, the second we decide to, and the media is pushing it, right? Get rid of the Second Amendment. I'm not saying I'm political. I'm just being fucking real here. And I'm giving you the spiritual version of this because I don't care which way it fucking goes because I'm just a watcher in all this. The second we fucking tweak and get rid of the original way, the second we get rid of that understanding of First Congress looking at Wall Street and money and the way if America chooses to change, the whole money market's going to fucking die. Because what's looking at that is George Washington, and embodied with George Washington in that first Congress is a whole spiritual understanding of how the country should be. So that's what's been sustaining this. The second that falls, Wall Street falls. And who's ironically right next to both of them is the Trump building. Does it fall with Trump or does it go extremely well with Trump? Who knows? But when we look farther out when it comes to money and finance and all this stuff, Jupiter and Saturn are going to conjunct in 2020 in Aquarius. This is going to be the first time that they've conjuncted in our lives in air signs. Because for the last couple hundred years, they've been in earth signs, which has been physical and manifestation. And why is Jupiter and Saturn important? Jupiter and Saturn are important because they are the two biggest planets. And Jupiter is all about reaching higher. Saturn's about contracting. But when you get those two together, they're an explosion of energy about reaching and achieving and making it towards a new life in that sign. And we're completing the Jupiter-Saturn cycle of the year 2000, May of 2000, which happened in Taurus, money, and moving into Aquarius, people, technology. So I do buy the whole understanding of the crypto thing, but I think that what's going to happen is with Jupiter and Saturn and business and money is, sure, technology has been on a fucking crazy rise where we go. It'll just keep, mathematically, if you do the numbers and how fast we are advancing technologically, it's so fast, it's insane. But the actual structure and grid that we live on, I mean, here in this building, we've still got the way that the electricity comes to this fan and turns it on and it, the electrical grids, the way that everything is structured is going to come to a place in life to where technology can't advance anymore. And you know what's going to be the ultimate business and the biggest money-making business is advancing a grid to advance technology. Because that's where the new money and the new world and the good luck is going to be. The last, 20 years, it's been in Taurus, It's been this, knowing your value, which is funny because now here's Uranus here to test that, Jupiter, Saturn stuff. But now it's going to be in Aquarius, technology, people-based systems. Communities are going to be valued as bigger businesses. People more than ever would buy into a community than they would just buying something. Because how many times are you going to buy a new t-shirt and feel good? Sorry, at the end of the day, you feel good for 20 minutes. And once it's out of the wrap and once it's after its first wash, you're like, okay, that was, I ran its course. That made me feel good for a day. Not even. Maybe just to the walk to the car, and then you're like, oh, yeah. And then, the second it gets a little scratch on it, oh, it's not worth it anymore. It's shitty. What's moving next is community. And, of course, the age of Aquarius, which I think everybody's all excited for, but I don't think they're excited on how we're going to get there, if that makes sense. Everybody wants this huge community, but it's you got to shovel and do the work to be part of it. You've got to know your value. And more importantly, you can't half-ass it. And I think the scariest part for me when I think about this is half-assing seems to be what people just want to get through life, survive, and die. And what is the new currency is getting away from that belief system, that notion, and realizing that the universe will provide you with everything you need if you ask for it, and you stand in that. Uranus and Taurus is saying, stand with God and what you're worth, and it will give it to you. Of course, it will take the work. Of course, you just got to show up. And this is going to be what the new commodity is if you show up for what you want, it'll show up and it will come. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn 2 and the continental currency came out, what's interesting is tobacco, it was one of the greatest goods. Trading. What do you have? Do you know we're exactly at the same degree of Pluto right now that was exactly during the Boston Tea Party? Do you know what hurt Britain more than anything was throwing a bunch of fucking tea over a fucking boat? Well, why is that? Because they were taxing it more. Commodities. Gold standard, silver standard, all these things are going to change. Why do you think Roslyn Capital is on every fucking commercial on Fox News and CNN? I went to Roslyn Capital and I bought my money in gold. It's secure. It's safe. Really? Do you really think it's safe? Do you really think we're all going to really give a fuck about that shit, especially the millennials? It's a fucking element that you can literally go dig up in the fucking dirt. It's going to be weird to see what comes. I wish I had the answer of exactly what it is, but today I wanted to try and show you that it really has nothing to do about what the world's changing and how it is, but how you are ready to change yourself to be part of this crazy world that's about to change. And that was my main point of understanding, because sure, there's physical finance and there's physical business. But what does that mean? That's spiritual capital, spiritual self-worth, spiritual money of yourself, and your spiritual goals and achievements in which that you want to reach. If you don't know how to connect these two, and if you don't do the work in 2018 with the hardest decision of your life to do that, because it's the hardest decision you will ever reach, because you know deep tight in your heart you must go that direction, and there's a loneliness to it. What do you think Chiron and Aries is? Fuck, it's a weird situation, but I got to go there. What do you think Chiron at the last degree of Pisces is? Oh my God, I got to surrender, and people are going to think I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy. Why am I doing this? It's because you know you're better. And it's hard because we're living in a spiritual community that tries to tell everybody that there's the same and that nobody's better and all that stuff. So we automatically attach ourselves with, no, I'm not better, or I shouldn't act like I'm better. It's not that you need to act like you're better to people. It doesn't mean that you need to blow their, fucking smoke in their face and be like, I'm better than you. What it means is you owning your self-worth and what you know is greater for a better part of yourself, and knowing that everybody's going to be fucking cheering you on instead of fucking trying to tear you down. Which is what the subliminal messaging of the media and everything is trying to do to you right now, is keep you capped. Everybody should be in the same. And so that's the revolution, is when we all say, I'm doing it my own way. That's Taurus, right? My own way. If you walk in any Taurus house, it's always different. It's like, either they really like Mercedes, or they really like BMW, or they really like, it's whatever, whatever their thing they're into. Look at Jay Leno. How many fucking cars does that Taurus have? Holy shit. And you know what was the best about Jay Leno when he was on Tonight Show? Was he fucking didn't laugh if it was not good. You would tell, he'd look at it and be like, well, next guest gonna be fucking, what I mean? But now we got Jimmy Fallon, who's trying to be a Virgo and service everyone. And it's like, that's not funny, dude. But Virgos are going through their 5th house transit, learning to follow their heart. He's with a wife that he fucking hates. He doesn't wear his wedding ring, and have you seen her and him? They look like the most oddest couple in the whole world. He's living the biggest lie of all time. He's the biggest fucking liar on TV. Every time he laughs, I can't handle it because it's not funny. Sure, there's some things I think are really fucking funny with the show. But one thing that you know about a Taurus that's different than a Virgo is, especially when it comes to comedy, is a Virgo will continue to try and service you with laughter, where a Taurus will go, it's not funny. Which my favorite show in the whole world is Seinfeld, which was built by a Taurus, Jerry Seinfeld. And that show's hilarious because, at the end of the day, it's like, that's really funny because that's really good. That really hits me in who I am and what I value and all those things. It's not fake. It's real. The other part about Taurus is it's got to be real, right? Like physical. Like, that is a real speaker. It physically shows up. And when it comes to reality and physicality, this is the moment where we all have to actually spiritually now show that in the physical reality, because everybody thinks this new age is all about ascending to a new place where I'm going to turn 4th dimensional and 5th dimensional. I'm going to rise up in the air and become invisible, and I don't know where I'm going. Where are you going? Tell me where you're going, invisible-wise. Please. Let us all know, because none of us fucking change shape or move to a new place. With all this earth and with all this shit, it really is, you've got to put the term is your money where your mouth is, your soul where the reality is.